"I know how to cure your horse," said the humble boy to the boss. What happened next was astonishing. Thomas Richardson paced back and forth on the ranch house porch, phone pressed to his ear, trying to reach yet another specialist. His most prized competition horse had been lying on the ground for 3 days, and none of the renowned veterinarians he'd called could figure out what was wrong. That's when he felt a timid presence beside him. Turning, he saw Tyler, the boy who cleaned the stables, standing there with his head down and trembling hands. "You're Thunder's owner, right?" the boy asked, his voice shaky. Thomas hung up impatiently. He didn't have time for small talk with employees right now. "Of course I am, kid. What about it? Can't you see I'm busy?" "I know how to cure your horse," Tyler said before his boss could send him away. Thomas stopped pacing and eyed the boy skeptically. Tyler couldn't have been more than 14, too skinny for his age, with messy hair and dirt-stained clothes. "What did you say, boy? You know how to cure a horse?" He laughed bitterly. "The best vets in the state are racking their brains, and you, who barely knows how to read, come telling me you can fix him." Tyler lowered his head further but didn't back down. "My grandma taught me, Mr. Richardson. She used to care for animals before she passed. I know you might think it's nonsense, but I've known Thunder since he was little. He's always been different from the others." The rancher was about to send the boy back to work when he remembered his own desperation. 3 days watching his most decorated horse waste away, unable to even stand. The vets had tried every possible treatment, run tests, but nothing worked. "What kind of things did your grandma teach you?" he asked, trying to keep his irritation in check. "Herbs, teas, massages. She said animals talk to us, we just have to listen. Thunder isn't really sick, Mr. Richardson. He's poisoned." The word poisoned hit Thomas like a bolt of lightning. None of the vets had mentioned that possibility. "Poisoned? What do you mean poisoned? Who would want to poison my horse?" "It wasn't on purpose, Mr. Richardson. There's a plant in the new pasture that's bad for horses. My grandma showed me when I was little. She called it devil's weed. It looks like regular grass, but the leaves have little spots." Thomas's heart raced. He'd ordered the pasture changed just last week, right where Thunder usually grazed. "And how do you know all this?" "Because I saw Thunder eating that plant 3 days ago. I tried to pull him away, but he'd already eaten a lot. I was scared to say anything because people always say I make things up." Just then, Dr. Williams, the head veterinarian, approached them. He was a tall man, always impeccably dressed, who charged a fortune for his services. "Mr. Richardson, I need to speak with you," the vet said, completely ignoring Tyler. "I'm afraid we've reached the limit of what we can do. The animal isn't responding to any treatment." "Doctor, the boy here was telling me about plant poisoning. Have you considered that possibility?" Dr. Williams looked at Tyler with a mocking smile. "Really, Mr. Richardson? You're going to listen to a kid who barely finished elementary school? I have 40 years of experience, degrees from 3 different universities. If it were poisoning, I would have identified it." "But doctor, he said he saw the horse eating a specific plant in the new pasture." "For heaven's sake," Dr. Williams interrupted. "Do you want me to get sued for allowing quackery? This boy knows nothing. He's just trying to take advantage of your desperation." Tyler took a step forward, even though his hands were shaking with nerves. "Doctor, with all due respect, you've given medicine for colic, for infection, for joint pain. None of it worked because it's none of those things. Thunder's blood is full of poison from the devil's weed." "You insolent brat," Dr. Williams turned to Thomas. "Either you get this boy out of here right now, or I'll leave and report this situation to the veterinary board." Thomas looked at Tyler, then at the vet, then toward the stable where Thunder lay in agony. His mind was torn. On one side, a renowned professional with decades of experience. On the other, a poor boy with barely any schooling, but who knew his horse better than anyone. "How many hours do you need, Tyler?" "Mr. Richardson." Dr. Williams turned red with anger. "You can't possibly be serious." "How many hours?" Thomas repeated, ignoring the vet. 3 hours, Mr. Richardson. If he isn't better in 3 hours, you can do whatever you want with me." Dr. Williams threw his bag on the ground. "Fine, but when this animal gets worse, and he will, I won't be held responsible. And I'll report all of this to the proper authorities." The vet stormed off, muttering curses under his breath. Thomas stood there, feeling the weight of the decision he'd just made. His reputation was on the line. If anything happened to Thunder because of some home remedy, he'd be the laughingstock of the whole region. "Come on, Tyler, show me what you can do." The two walked in silence to the stable. Thunder was lying on his side, breathing heavily. His legs trembled now and then, and his eyes looked glassy. Tyler knelt beside the animal and gently stroked his neck. "Hey, buddy, I know you're hurting, but we're gonna take that pain away, okay?" To Thomas's surprise, the horse turned his head toward Tyler and made a soft sound, as if trying to respond. "How does he know you like that?" Tyler was quiet for a few seconds, as if deciding whether to tell the truth. "When I first got here to the ranch 2 years ago, I didn't know anyone. My parents had passed in an accident and I had no family left. You gave me work and a place to sleep, but I was so scared. I couldn't talk to the other workers." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now, back to the story. Tyler kept stroking Thunder as he spoke. "Thunder was the only one who didn't scare me. I'd sneak in here at night when everyone was asleep and talk to him, tell him my fears, my sadness. He always listened, never judged." Thomas felt a tightness in his chest. He'd never noticed the boy's loneliness. To him, Tyler was just another worker, someone who cleaned the stables and collected his pay at the end of the month. "What about your grandmother? How did she know so much about animals?" "My grandma Margaret worked for years as an assistant to a famous vet around here, Dr. Benjamin Crawford. Did you ever know him?" Thomas froze. Dr. Benjamin Crawford had been his father's vet for decades, a humble man who cared for the animals of both the rich and the poor in the area, always with the same kindness. "I did. He was a very good man. My grandma used to say he was the best vet who ever lived. She learned everything from him, but one day she had to stop working." "Why?" Tyler hesitated again. "A wealthy rancher accused her of theft, said she'd taken expensive medicine from the clinic. Dr. Benjamin tried to defend her, but he couldn't prove it was a lie. My grandmother was fired and never found work anywhere again." Thomas's heart raced. He vaguely remembered this story from his childhood. His father had mentioned something about an assistant caught stealing medicine. What was her name? Her full name? "Margaret Johnson Carter. Why do you ask, Mr. Richardson?" Thomas closed his eyes. Margaret Johnson Carter. He remembered perfectly now. She had been accused by his own father, Colonel Richardson, of stealing expensive medicine. At the time, Thomas was just a 20-year-old, more interested in parties and girlfriends than the ranch business. "Tyler, I need to tell you something." But before he could continue, Tyler quickly stood up. "Mr. Richardson, first let's take care of Thunder. Then we can talk about the past. He needs a special tea to cleanse his blood and massages on specific points to improve circulation." "Are you sure you know what you're doing?" "Yes, I am. My grandmother taught me exactly how to treat devil's weed poisoning. She said one day I'd need this knowledge to help someone important." Tyler ran off and returned minutes later with a handful of different herbs. Thomas recognized some, but others were completely unfamiliar. "Where did you get these plants?" "I have a little hidden garden behind the shed. I grow the herbs my grandmother taught me about for emergencies." The boy began preparing the tea, mixing the herbs in specific proportions. As he worked, he explained each step to Thomas. "This one's leather cap plant. It cleanses the liver. This is stonebreaker, helps the kidneys work better. And this is Chilean boldo, which my grandmother called the blood sweeper." "How do you remember all this?" "My grandmother said I had a gift for memorizing things. Since I was little, I've remembered everything she taught me. Stories, recipes, songs, prayers. She said memory was the most valuable treasure a person could have." While the tea cooled, Tyler began massaging specific points on the horse. His small hands moved precisely over Thunder's body. Under the belly, there's a point that aids digestion. Here on the neck, another that speeds up the heart. And on the legs, we stimulate circulation. To Thomas's astonishment, Thunder began responding to the massages. His breathing steadied, and the trembling stopped. "It's working," Thomas murmured, amazed. "Not yet, Mr. Richardson. The hardest part is getting him to drink the tea. A poisoned horse won't want to drink, but without the tea, he won't fully recover. Tyler moved to Thunder's head and whispered in his ear, words Thomas couldn't quite make out. They sounded like old melodies, almost hypnotizing the animal. Slowly, very slowly, Tyler managed to get Thunder to take small sips of the tea. With each sip, the boy quietly celebrated and kept humming. "Where did you learn that song?" "My grandmother sang it whenever she cared for sick animals. She said it was an ancestral song that soothed their souls." After getting Thunder to drink all the tea, Tyler continued the massages. 2 hours passed, and Thomas grew nervous. Dr. Williams had said he'd return in 3 hours, likely with inspectors or even police. "Will he recover in time, Tyler?" "Yes, Mr. Richardson. My grandmother always said healing can't be rushed. It comes at the right time, not before, not after." As if hearing them, Thunder tried lifting his head. Tyler helped, supporting the animal's neck. "That's it, my friend. Slowly. No rush." Gradually, Thunder managed to prop himself up on his front legs. His legs still shook, but he was visibly better. Thomas couldn't believe what he was seeing. Good heavens, it's really working. "It's not over yet, Mr. Richardson. The poison hasn't completely left his system. He'll need a few more doses of the tea throughout the week." At that moment, they heard voices approaching. Dr. Williams was returning, accompanied by 2 people Thomas didn't recognize. "It's time for the truth," said the rancher, with a mix of pride and apprehension. Dr. Williams entered the stable with a triumphant air, followed by a man in a suit and a woman in a white lab coat. "I've brought Dr. Mitchell from the regulatory agency and Dr. Rachel, a specialist in animal abuse cases. They're here to document everything that happened." So the veterinarian stopped mid-sentence when he saw Thunder leaning on his front legs, his eyes bright and breathing normally. How is this possible?" Tyler stood up and wiped his hands on his pants. "You were right about one thing, Doctor. Poisoning is serious. But you were wrong when you said it wasn't poisoning." Dr. Williams approached the horse, examining him in disbelief. "What medicine did you use? Which lab made it?" "It wasn't lab medicine, Doctor. It was herbal tea and massage." "Herbal tea?" Dr. Mitchell, the inspector, wrote everything down on his clipboard. "Dr. Williams, can you explain how a home remedy achieved better results than the official treatment?" Dr. Williams turned red with embarrassment. This doesn't make sense. It must be a coincidence. The animal was probably starting to recover on his own." "Doctor," Tyler interrupted respectfully, "would you like to see the plant that poisoned Thunder? I can show you where it is in the pasture." "What plant?" Tyler left the stable and returned with a few leaves in his hand. "Devil's weed, Doctor. You can look it up. It causes exactly the symptoms Thunder was having." Dr. Mitchell took the leaves and examined them carefully. "Dr. Williams, did you even consider plant poisoning in the pasture?" Of course I did. But the tests didn't show." "What tests did you run?" Dr. Williams began to stammer, searching for words. "The standard tests. Blood, stool. To detect specific alkaloids from toxic plants, Doctor, you'd need a much more specific analysis. Did you request that kind of test?" Dr. Williams's silence was answer enough. Dr. Rachel stepped closer to Tyler. "Young man, where did you learn about this plant?" "From my grandmother, Doctor. She worked with Dr. Benjamin Crawford and knew all the plants in the region." "Benjamin Crawford?" Dr. Rachel smiled. "He was my professor in college, a genius in traditional veterinary medicine. He always said nature had a remedy for everything, you just had to know where to look." Thomas felt relieved to see the situation turning in Tyler's favor, but there was still an important matter to resolve. "Dr. Mitchell, I need to know how this plant ended up in my pasture. I ordered the feed replaced last week." "Who was responsible for the replacement?" "My foreman, Joe Miller. He handles all these things." Tyler grew uneasy at the mention of Joe Miller. "Mr. Richardson, can I say something?" "Go ahead, Tyler." "Joe told the other ranch hands he got the feed much cheaper than usual. He was really pleased, bragging about how much money he saved." Thomas felt suspicion growing in his chest. "Saved for whom?" "For you," he said. "But the ranch hands were saying good feed doesn't come that cheap." Dr. Mitchell noted everything down. It would be good to talk to this foreman and check where the feed came from. I'll call him right now, said Thomas, reaching for his phone. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing? 15 minutes later, Joe Miller arrived at the stable. He was a strong man around 40 years old who had worked at the ranch for nearly 10 years. When he saw all those people gathered and Thunder doing better, he visibly tensed up. Joe Miller, Thomas Richardson began. I need you to explain to these folks how the purchase of the new feed went. The feed? Why, boss? Is there a problem? The feed was contaminated with toxic plants. I almost lost my horse. Joe Miller glared angrily at Tyler. This kid's making up stories, boss. The feed was fine. I bought it from the same supplier as always. The same supplier? Dr. Mitchell checked his clipboard. Could you give us the name and contact of this supplier? Sure, it's Jeffrey from Clearview Ranch. Tyler stepped forward. Excuse me for speaking up, Mr. Joe, but yesterday I saw you talking to a stranger at the gate. They were talking about money. You lying brat? Joe Miller exploded. You didn't see anything. I did, Mr. Joe. You were counting money and putting it in your pocket. The man said if anyone asked, you were supposed to say the feed came from Clearview Ranch. Dr. Mitchell moved closer to Joe Miller. Sir, I'll need you to come with us to clarify a few things. We have evidence of fraud and endangering animals. Fraud? I didn't commit any fraud. Then explain where the feed really came from and why you lied about the supplier. Joe Miller looked around, searching for an escape. Every eye was fixed on him. All right. I bought it from a cheaper guy, yeah. But I didn't know there was poison in the feed. He swore it was good. And the leftover money from the price difference? Thomas asked, his voice dangerously low. I was gonna give it back to you. When? After my horse had... Thomas couldn't finish the sentence. Dr. Rachel stepped between Thomas and Joe Miller. Mr. Richardson, let's handle this through the proper channels. What matters now is that the animal is recovering. Joe Miller was taken away by the inspectors to give his statement. Before leaving, he shot Tyler a hateful look. Nosy little brat. You ruined my life. No, Joe Miller, Tyler said calmly. You ruined your own life when you chose money over the animal's well-being. After everyone had left, Thomas stayed alone with Tyler in the stable. Thunder was getting better by the minute, even trying to stand up fully. Tyler, I owe you an apology. An apology for what, Mr. Richardson? For a lot of things. For never really seeing you. For barely giving you a chance to show what you know, and for something that happened a long time ago. Tyler stopped petting Thunder and looked at his boss curiously. Your grandmother, Margaret Johnson Carter, she was accused of theft by my father over 20 years ago. I know, Mr. Richardson. You know? My grandmother told me the whole story before she passed. She never held a grudge against your father. She said he was just protecting what was his, that anyone would have done the same. But Tyler, you don't understand. My grandmother told me a few years before she died that she found out who was really stealing the medicine. It was the clinic's own accountant. He framed your grandmother because he needed a scapegoat. Tyler froze and stared at Thomas. What are you saying? I'm saying your grandmother was innocent, and my family was responsible for destroying an honest woman's life. Tyler sat on the ground, as if his legs could no longer hold him up. My grandmother always knew I was innocent, but she could never prove it. She spent the rest of her life being seen as a thief. She lost friends, lost work, lost her dignity. Tyler, I know I can't undo what's been done, but I can try to make it right somehow. How, Mr. Richardson? My grandmother is gone. She won't see her honor restored. Thomas knelt beside Tyler. But you're here. You inherited her knowledge, her wisdom, and today you used it to save my horse's life. I only did what she taught me. No, Tyler, you did much more than that. You had the courage to stand up to an experienced vet, to risk your own position here at the ranch. You did all that out of love for Thunder. At that moment, Thunder managed to stand up completely. His legs still trembled slightly, but he was on his feet. The horse walked slowly over to Tyler and nuzzled the boy's chest. Hey, buddy, Tyler whispered, tears in his eyes. You're better now. Thomas watched the scene and felt something stir deep in his heart. Here was an orphaned boy, poor, someone he had ignored for 2 years, a boy who slept in rough conditions, who earned next to nothing, yet had risked everything to save an animal. "Tyler, I have a proposal for you." "What proposal, Mr. Richardson?" "I want you to study veterinary medicine." Tyler looked up, stunned. "Study veterinary medicine? But Mr. Richardson, I barely finished elementary school, and I don't have money for—" "That's my problem, not yours. I'll arrange a private tutor to help you finish your studies. After that, you'll take a technical course in agriculture, and when you're ready, I'll pay for your veterinary degree." I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything now, think it over, but I want you to know you have a future here if you want it." 2 weeks passed. Thunder had fully recovered, running through the pastures as if nothing had happened. Tyler had accepted Thomas's offer and was already taking private lessons every morning. Williams lost his license to practice in the area after it was discovered he had neglected several previous cases. Joe Miller was fired and even faced criminal charges for fraud and endangering animals. One morning, Thomas had an unexpected visitor. His daughter Jessica, who was studying veterinary medicine in the capital, had come to spend the weekend at the ranch. "Dad, I need to meet this boy everyone's talking about." "What boy?" "The boy who saved Thunder with herbal tea. The story's spread all over the university. My professors are curious to meet him." Thomas took Jessica to the stables, where Tyler was tending to the other horses. "Tyler, this is my daughter Jessica. Jessica, this is Tyler." Jessica was a young woman of 22, about to graduate in veterinary medicine, accustomed to technology and modern methods. But when she spoke with Tyler, she was amazed by his knowledge. "How did you memorize so much about medicinal plants?" "My grandmother taught me a technique, Miss Jessica. She associated each plant with a story, a song, a color. That made it easier to remember." "Do you know anything about modern medicine?" "A little. There are some old veterinary books in the attic of the main house. Your father gave me permission to read them. I've read them all." "All of them?" Jessica looked at her father, surprised. "How many books are up there?" "About 50, 60 books," Thomas replied. "And you've read all of them, Tyler?" "Yes, Miss Jessica. Some I've read several times. There's really interesting stuff about how diseases work, how medicines affect animals' bodies." Jessica ended up talking with Tyler for hours. She asked complex questions about anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, and Tyler answered everything with impressive ease. "Dad, this boy is a genius," Jessica said later when they were alone. "He has a learning ability I've never seen before. And the most remarkable thing is how he connects traditional knowledge with modern science. What do you think I should do?" "Accelerate his studies. Don't wait for him to finish high school. Have him take the vet school entrance exam next year. I'm sure he'll pass." "But he's so young." "Dad, there are special programs for gifted kids. Tyler isn't just smart, he has a calling. When he talks about animals, his eyes shine in a special way." That night, Thomas made a decision that would change Tyler's life forever. The next day, he called the boy for a serious talk. "Tyler, my daughter thinks you should accelerate your studies and try for the entrance exam next year." "Next year? But Mr. Richardson, I haven't even finished high school yet." "We'll finish it quickly. I'll hire the best teachers in the area. You'll study full-time. And if you want, you can stay at the main house, have your own room, good meals, everything you need to focus on your studies." Tyler was silent for a long moment. "Mr. Richardson, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Why are you doing all this for me?" Thomas took a deep breath. "Because I owe it to your grandmother's memory. Because you saved my horse when no one else could. And because I see in you the future of veterinary medicine in our region." "I accept, Mr. Richardson, but on one condition." "What condition?" "I want to keep taking care of Thunder, even while studying, even living at the main house. He's my friend, and I can't abandon him." Thomas smiled. "Of course, Tyler. Thunder is your friend, and friends don't abandon each other." The months that followed were intense. Tyler devoted himself to his studies with an impressive hunger for knowledge. He woke at 5 in the morning, studied until 7, took care of Thunder, studied from 8 to noon, had lunch, studied from 2 to 6, had dinner, and studied again until 10 at night. Mrs. Elizabeth, Thomas's wife, who had initially been skeptical of her husband's plans, soon grew fond of the boy. Tyler was polite, respectful, and showed genuine gratitude for everything he received. "Thomas, this boy is good for our family," she said one evening. "It's been years since this house had so much life, so much hope." "How so?" "Look at him studying in the library every night. Look at his dedication to Thunder. Look at how he treats the staff, always with respect, always willing to help. This boy teaches us more than he learns from us." Thomas knew his wife was right. Tyler's presence had changed the ranch's dynamics. The other workers respected the boy, not just for what he'd done for Thunder, but for the humility and wisdom he showed every day. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. A year later, Tyler took entrance exams for 3 different universities. He passed them all with excellent scores. He chose the same university where Jessica studied, in the state capital. "Mr. Richardson, now that I'll be studying in the capital, what will happen to Thunder?" "Thunder will be here waiting for you to come back on breaks and on weekends when you can visit." "What if he forgets me?" Thomas laughed. "Tyler, an animal that truly loves someone, never forgets. You saved his life. That bond will last forever." The day Tyler left for university, the whole ranch gathered to say goodbye. Thunder seemed to understand something special was happening. He stuck to Tyler the whole time, as if he didn't want to let him go. "I'll be back, my friend," Tyler whispered into the horse's ear. "I'll study hard and return to take care of you and all the other animals in the area." During his 4 years of college, Tyler came home whenever he could. Each time, Thunder greeted him with joyful neighs, running through the pasture like a young colt. Tyler excelled at the university. His professors were impressed by his ability to connect theory with practice, scientific knowledge with traditional wisdom. He interned at several clinics, always earning excellent reviews. In his final year, Tyler developed a special project, a manual combining traditional healing techniques with modern veterinary medicine. The work was so well received that a publisher became interested in printing it. "Dr. Tyler," said Thomas on graduation day, using the title the young man had earned for the first time. "Your grandmother would be so proud." "I feel like she's here with me, Mr. Thomas. Every bit of knowledge I use, every animal I help, carries a piece of her wisdom." After graduation, Tyler returned to his hometown. Thomas had prepared a surprise, a modern veterinary clinic built on the ranch's grounds, equipped with everything a vet could need. "This clinic is yours, Tyler. Here you can treat both wealthy ranchers and humble farmers using both modern medicine and traditional knowledge." "Mr. Thomas, I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done for me." "You already have, Tyler. When you saved Thunder, when you dedicated yourself to your studies, when you became the man you are today. Your gratitude is in the person you've become." Tyler's clinic quickly became a regional reference. He treated everything from million-dollar cattle to family pets, always with the same care and dedication. His specialty was complex cases where traditional medicine had failed. 3 years after graduating, Tyler received an unexpected visit. Dr. Benjamin Crawford, now over 80 but still sharp and active, appeared at the clinic. "Are you the grandson of Margaret Johnson Carter?" "Yes, Dr. Benjamin. I'm Tyler, her grandson." The old vet hugged Tyler with tears in his eyes. "My boy, I searched for your grandmother for years to ask for forgiveness. I could never prove her innocence, and it haunted me my whole life. Doctor, my grandmother never held a grudge against you. She said you were the best boss she ever had, and that she learned things from you no university could teach. She was an extraordinary woman, knew more about animals than many trained vets, and I see her knowledge lives on in you." Dr. Benjamin began visiting Tyler's clinic regularly. The two formed a beautiful partnership, the experienced vet and the young doctor who blended tradition and modernity. "Tyler," Dr. Benjamin said one day, Have you ever thought of writing about your grandmother's techniques? The world needs to know this wisdom. I've already started, Doctor. I'm documenting everything she taught me, combining it with what I learned in school. That's wonderful. But I have a suggestion. What if we started a school? A place where young people can learn both modern veterinary medicine and traditional knowledge. The idea of a school excited Tyler deeply. Together with Dr. Benjamin and with Thomas's financial support, they founded the Margaret Johnson Carter Institute of Integrated Veterinary Medicine. The school quickly gained national recognition. Students came from all over the country to learn the unique techniques taught there. The institute became a reference for treatments blending science and tradition. Thunder, now 15, became something of a school mascot. He participated in the practical classes, always gentle and cooperative, especially when Tyler was present. "Professor Tyler," a student asked during a practical lesson, "how do you explain the strong bond between you and Thunder?" Tyler stroked the horse's neck before answering, "There's something you don't learn in books or universities. It's the true love for animals. When you save a life, when you dedicate your energy to relieve their suffering, a bond is formed that goes beyond science." "But Professor, isn't that too sentimental for a veterinarian?" "On the contrary, emotion is what drives us to seek knowledge. It's the love for animals that made me study so hard, that made me want to improve every day. Science without love is cold. Love without science is limited. But when the two come together, miracles happen." Years passed. The institute grew, trained hundreds of veterinarians, and saved thousands of animals. Tyler married Jessica, who returned to work with him at the school. They had 2 children who grew up playing with Thunder and learning from an early age to love animals. Thomas, now 70, remained active on the ranch, but had handed over management to Tyler and Jessica. Mrs. Elizabeth devoted herself to caring for her grandchildren and running a social project for orphaned children in the region. One day, Thunder, now 22, began showing signs that his long life was coming to an end. Tyler noticed immediately. "My old friend," he whispered into the horse's ear, "you've had a beautiful life, full of love and purpose." Thunder spent his final days surrounded by affection. Students and faculty from the institute took turns staying with him. Thomas visited him every day. Even Dr. Benjamin, now nearly 90, made sure to spend a few hours by the old horse's side. On the night Thunder passed, he lay in the stable, his head resting in Tyler's lap. It was a peaceful passing, as if he had waited for the right moment to say goodbye. "Thank you, my friend," Tyler said, tears streaming down his face. "Thank you for teaching me that love heals everything." Thunder was buried in a special spot on the institute's grounds, beneath a tree Tyler had planted years earlier. A simple plaque marked the spot. "Thunder, the horse who taught us that knowledge without love is empty, but love with knowledge saves lives." At Thunder's funeral, the entire community gathered. Wealthy ranchers and humble farmers, renowned veterinarians and novice students, all paid tribute to the horse who had changed so many lives. Thomas approached Tyler after the ceremony. "Tyler, do you remember the day you told me you knew how to heal my horse?" "I do, Mr. Richardson. How could I forget?" "That day, you didn't just save Thunder. You saved me too. You taught me that true wealth isn't in money but in the people we love, and the difference we make in their lives. You saved me too, Mr. Richardson. You gave me a chance when no one believed in me. You treated me like a son when I had no family. We are a family, Tyler. A family chosen by fate and united by our love for animals." 5 years after Thunder's passing, the Margaret Johnson Carter Institute became a university recognized by the Department of Education. Tyler was appointed dean, Dr. Benjamin became a professor emeritus, and Jessica led the research department. The university revolutionized veterinary education in the United States, becoming the first to integrate traditional knowledge into the official curriculum. Students from other countries came to exchange and learn the unique techniques taught there. One spring morning, Tyler was teaching a freshman class when a student asked a question that moved him deeply. "Professor Tyler, what's the secret to being a good veterinarian?" Tyler looked out the classroom window and saw the stables where it all began, the tree where thunder was buried, the pastures where so many lives had been saved. The secret, he said slowly, is never forgetting that every animal is a unique being with its own story, its own fears, and its own hopes. When you treat an animal, you're not just healing a body, you're caring for a soul. But how do we know what the animal is feeling? By listening with your heart, not just your ears, observing with love, not just your eyes, and always remembering that we as humans are merely instruments. True healing comes from love, dedication, and the genuine desire to ease suffering. After class, Tyler walked to the tree where thunder was buried. It was a ritual he kept every week, a moment of reflection and gratitude. "My old friend," he said, placing his hand on the tree trunk. "Look at what happened after you taught me courage. How many lives were saved? How many young people learned to love animals, just as you taught me to love?" A gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the tree, and Tyler smiled. He was sure that in some way thunder was still there, approving of all that had been built. That evening, Tyler had dinner with his family at the main house of Clearview Ranch. Thomas, now a proud grandfather, told stories to the grandchildren about Tyler's early days on the ranch. "Grandpa," asked the youngest granddaughter, 5 years old, "is it true that Daddy saved thunder with herbal tea?" "It's true, my dear. Your father was just a boy, younger than you are today, but he already had the heart of a healer. Can I be a horse healer too when I grow up?" Tyler knelt beside his daughter. "You can be whatever you want, my love, but if you choose to care for animals, always remember, the most important thing isn't what you know, but how much you love. Like Grandpa Thomas loved thunder? Exactly, and how I loved thunder, and how thunder loved all of us." The end of the story. Dear listeners, what a touching story, isn't it? Now tell me, do you believe love can truly heal? Have you ever seen a situation where simple wisdom triumphed over complicated science? Share your experiences in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories like this one.